Today, I want to talk about something I've learned both as a therapist and as a woman who has lived long enough to know better. I've spent decades watching this pattern in others and learning to recognize it in myself. So when I tell you that this is one of the most important conversations that you can have with yourself, I'm not theorizing. I have lived it and I am continuing to learn from it. And it's, I think, the most painful relationship in one's life because it's not the ones where someone walked away from you. It's the relationship where you walked away from yourself and you stayed in a relationship way too long. And we call that self-abandonment. And it is one of the most quietly destructive patterns that I see in the people who come into my office and sit across from me in their own lives, wondering why they feel so empty inside relationships that were supposed to fill them. So today, and we are going to talk about what it is, where it came from, what it cost you, and how to begin the work, the brave work of coming back home to yourself. So come on inside and let's explore this together. So what is self-abandonment? Self-abandonment is choosing another person's comfort over your own truth. It's staying when you should leave. It is shrinking when you should be expanding. It's saying yes when your whole body is saying no. It's like laughing at a joke that made you flinch inside. It's staying silent when you wanted to speak, or performing like you're okay when you know you're not okay. It is becoming who someone needs you to be at the cost of who you actually are. And here's what makes it so dangerous. Self-abandonment does not usually look dramatic. It does not look like the woman crying on a bathroom floor or the guy at a dinner party smiling while dying quietly inside. It looks like an email that you answered too quickly, responded in some snappy way, or a boundary that you swallowed, a favor that you agreed to, or a truth that you held back. It could even be an apology that you gave when you were the one who deserved the one. It looks like the 1,000 small daily choices to keep the peace at your own expense. And here's where I really need you to lean in. Because every single time that you do that, your body keeps the receipt. You might not feel it in the moment. You may have gotten good, very good at not feeling it, but the cost is being paid somewhere. It's in your tiredness, your sluggishness. It's in your resentment, in your distance from yourself. It's in the depression that you can't quite explain. It's in the relationships that look fine on the outside but feel empty on the inside. So self-abandonment is like a slow leak in a tire that you can't find, but it keeps deflating you anyway. So if you recognize yourself in how I'm describing this idea of self-abandonment, then I want you to pause, because this is not about self-diagnosing yourself or self-criticizing. Because you did not wake up one morning and decide to abandon yourself. You were taught to do this. Somewhere along the way, probably very early, you learned that being fully yourself was not safe. Maybe your needs were too much for your caregivers, or maybe your feelings were dismissed, minimized, or even punished. Maybe you were the responsible child, the easy child, the one who learned to read the room and adjust. Or maybe you learned that love came when you performed and disappeared when you didn't. Maybe you watched a parent abandon themselves in a marriage that became your model. Or you grew up in chaos and the only way to survive was to become invisible. Whatever your version is, then here's where I want you to really hear me, because your nervous system made a deal a long time ago, and it said, I will give up parts of myself in exchange for the connection that I need to survive. And that was not a flaw. That was a survival strategy, and it worked. You got the connection that you needed to make it through childhood. You learned to be the person that other people around you needed you to be. The problem is that you're not that child anymore. And that survival strategy that kept you safe at 5 years old is likely the same strategy that is playing into your tiredness, your exhaustion, your resent and disconnection from yourself at 40, 50, 60 years old. And the deal that your nervous system made was never updated. And until you update it consciously, deliberately, with awareness, then you will keep paying the price for an agreement that you don't even remember signing. If you watch my video on attachment styles, you already have some of the framework for the conversation that we're going to have now. But I want to be very specific about how self-abandonment shows up in each of the patterns, because this is where it gets practical. If you have an anxious attachment, your self-abandonment usually looks like this. You overgive, you over-explain, you shrink yourself so the person doesn't leave. You apologize for needing what you need. You might manage others' feelings so that you keep them close. You become like a chameleon, adjusting yourself to match whoever you're with, hoping that version of yourself is the one that they will finally accept and not abandon. The self-anxious abandonment is loud on the outside and silent on the inside. You're everywhere in the relationship except in your own seat. If you have avoidant attachment, your self-abandonment looks different. You abandon yourself by never letting anyone get close enough to actually know you. You stay surface, you stay independent, you stay just out of reach, and you may even confuse self-protection with self-respect. The avoidant abandonment is the betrayal of never letting yourself be fully known, so you can disappear from your own life and then call it freedom. If you have disorganized attachment, you do a little of both. You merge until you suffocate, you flee until you ache, you merge again, you abandon yourself by losing yourself in someone, and then you abandon yourself again by sabotaging the very connection that you needed. And here's the thing about all three patterns, or what they have in common. You are not at home in yourself. You are watching the relationship from outside of your own body. You're managing it, performing in it, perhaps hiding from it or getting consumed by it, but rarely being in it as full and honest and grounded as you are intended to be. And that's what self-abandonment is. That is what it costs you. That is why a person can be in a room full of people who love them and still feel completely alone because they are not really in the room. I want to talk about the lies that we tell ourselves to justify self-abandonment, because we as humans, we can dress it up in pretty language so that we don't have to, so that we don't have to face. And we can call self-abandonment things like being a good partner or being a loyal friend. Some of us refer to it as being low maintenance or being easygoing, being selfless. I've heard words like generous, patient, spiritual, mature. And what I have to say to all of that is stop. Just stop dressing up self-abandonment in language that makes it sound holy. There is nothing holy about disappearing from your own life so other people can be comfortable with the parts of you that they prefer. There is nothing mature about smiling through disrespect, nothing generous about giving so much that you have nothing left for yourself. And there is certainly nothing spiritual about silencing the still small voice inside you that has been trying to get your attention for years. Here's the real deal. Real love for yourself or anyone else doesn't require you to abandon you. And I guess I'll say that again. Real love does not require you to abandon you. Anything that demands your disappearance is not love. It is something else wearing love's clothing. And the sooner you can see the difference, the sooner you can stop trading your soul for connection that was never going to feed you in the first place. Let's talk a little bit more about how self-abandonment actually shows up, because I think we underestimate it and its impact in our world. It costs you your body. Self-abandonment lives in the body before it lives in the mind. It shows up as chronic stress, tension headaches, gut issues, autoimmune flares, insomnia, tiredness that no amount of sleep can fix. The body is not lying when it tells you something is wrong. It is telling the truth that often your mind has been refusing to hear. It costs you your discernment. The longer you abandon yourself, the harder it becomes to even know what you want or what you feel or what you need. You can become so practiced at scanning other people that you forget how to scan yourself. It shows up in little things like asking a friend what restaurant they prefer because you genuinely do not know what you want anymore. And that is not generosity. That is a loss of self. It costs you your relationships. And here's the part that is most painful, because the very relationships that you are abandoning yourself to preserve, those relationships are not what you think they are, because the person in them is not you. It is a curated, adjusted performance of you. So even when the person says they love you, some part of you knows that they are loving that version, not the real version, not the real you. And that is probably one of the loneliest experiences that a human being can have. It costs you your time. And this is the one that I sit with at almost 60 years old. Because every year that you spend abandoning yourself is a year that you don't get back. Every relationship that you stayed in past its expiration date, every truth that you swallowed, every dream that you postponed for someone else's comfort, the math gets sharper as the years go by. And the grief of looking back at all of that time can be enormous. What do we do about this thing called self-abandonment? So here's where I'm not going to give you 10 steps, because this is not a productivity problem. This is a nervous system problem. It's an attachment problem and a spiritual problem all at once. So I'm going to give you 4 invitations. These are not assignments. They're not exercises. They're just simply invitations. So the first one is start noticing when you are doing it, when you are self-abandoning. You can't change what you can't see. So begin to notice the small moments of self-abandonment as they happen. Notice the yes that should have been a no, or the smile that covered the flinch. Notice the silence that you had when something should have been said, or over explaining the no when no simply would have been enough. And don't judge yourself. Try not to fix it. Just notice, because awareness is not nothing. Awareness is the beginning of everything. And then I invite you to stop apologizing for having wants or needs. You are allowed to have needs. You're allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no without giving a reason. You are allowed to leave the conversation, the room, the relationship that no longer fits. You do not owe anyone an explanation for the boundaries that your nervous system needs you to set in order to come back home to yourself. So stop apologizing for being a full human being. Practice tolerating the discomfort of being misunderstood. And this is the hard invitation, because when you stop abandoning yourself, some people in your life will not like it. Some will pull back, some will get angry, some will tell you that you've changed, and they won't mean that as a compliment. You have to be willing to be misunderstood for a while. You have to be willing to be inconvenient and willing to disappoint people who were comfortable with the smaller version of you. Because here's the deal. That discomfort is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you're doing something true. And the 4th invitation is to get curious about who you actually are. When you've spent decades performing or adjusting and shape-shifting, coming back to yourself takes time. You may not even know what you like or what you want or what you feel or what feels right in your body, and that's okay. Just start small. What do you actually want for breakfast? What music do you actually like? What does your version of Saturday look like? Not your partners, not your kids, not other people, the one that other people would approve of, but what is yours? And I say that these are not silly questions. They are reclaiming. So every small yes to yourself is a deposit in the account that has probably been leaking for years. If any of this message has resonated with you and you can identify yourself as self-abandoning, then I want this to really land, because the world will not collapse if you stop abandoning yourself. The people who genuinely love you will still love you when you take up your full space. The ones who do not love the full you, they were never loving you in the first place. They were loving the convenient, adjusted version, and losing that version is not actually a loss. It is the beginning of being seen accurately for the first time. And so if you can allow that to land and just sit with that idea, because the relationships worth keeping, they survive your becoming yourself. And the ones that don't survive, they were never the relationships that you thought they were. And that is not being cruel. That is clarifying. And clarity, even painful clarity, is good medicine. Here's what I want to most leave with you today. You are the only one of you that will ever exist. In all of human history, there has never been another version of you, and there never will be again. And every time that you abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable, you are betraying the one person who was never meant to be lost, and that's you. So this is your invitation to come back home to yourself slowly and perfectly, one small choice at a time. And you don't have to blow up your entire life to do this. You just have to start telling yourself the truth, and then gently, persistently, with love, start choosing yourself in the small moments. This is where it all begins. Before you go, I want to ask you something to consider. Where in your life have you been abandoning yourself? Is it in a relationship, a job, a friendship, a version of yourself that you outgrew years ago but still keep performing for someone? And you don't have to share it publicly, but I do want you to name it for yourself. And if you are willing to leave one word in the comments below, it could be, like I said, a relationship, job, friendship, family, or self, or just one word. No explanation needed, because you are worth coming home to. Hey, thank you for being here and for being on this journey with me here at Dr. Empowerment. Please come back again and stay a while as we continue exploring possibilities for the heart and mind.